Hello my beautiful friends and welcome back to our channel and today's video, which is the fifth video in our series on shoulds. Now I'm gonna keep this short and sweet today because it doesn't take an expert to hear that I've lost my voice. And for all of my compassionate viewers, I know my clients are super compassionate and caring, and so I'm sure I kind of attract the same sort of viewers. I am well, I am systemically well. I'm kind of coming off the end of this cold sort of sickness that I've had, and this is my last lingering symptom. You guys know I wouldn't be doing this video if I didn't feel well, but we'll keep it short and sweet today just because I don't know how much voice I have in my voice box right now. So in the last video, we started to talk about the 2 reasons why we have resistance to give up our shoulds. And I think this is a really important aspect of our should statements that isn't often explored. So in the first couple of videos in the series, we talked about where our shoulds come from in terms of coming way back from some beliefs that we've adopted purposely and some that have just kind of snuck into our belief system. The fact that we can change our beliefs, and then later the fact that we want to change our should statements often because our should statements don't often produce the outcomes, the consequences that really serve us in terms of producing useful or desired emotions, behaviors, and then overall outcomes and patterns in our lives. So with all of that, you'd be forgiven for thinking that you should just be able to give up your shoulds in the snap of a finger. But that's not often what we find. And the reason is because of these areas of resistance that we often have, the reasons why we want to hold on to our should statements. These in themselves are areas of our own beliefs of how we think our shoulds are serving us or what we think they amount to or mean. And they're worth looking into to make the process of change more free-flowing and natural. Instead of being in a forced change state where you're always kind of working against yourself and other beliefs that you're trying to hold on to. So in my opinion, looking at these areas of resistance is a little bit of work for a whole lot of gain. In the last video, we talked about the first area of resistance, which is the idea that our shoulds are helping move us towards a goal, whether they're motivating us towards a goal or just that sense of obligation, debt, or duty is actually helping to hold us to a standard. And there were some exercises in that video that will probably show you that most of the time your shoulds aren't actually achieving that. Perhaps in the short term, but definitely not in the long term. Again, in most cases, there are always exceptions. Now today I want to talk about the other area of resistance, which is the good in the should. Let's get into it. So when I talk about the good in the should, what I'm really referring to here is the value that is trying to come out, but it's just a bit of a misfire with the should statement. So as opposed to in the last video where we were talking about how the should is meant to help hold you to a goal, I'm sort of more talking about a tangible goal there, like showing up to the gym 3 times a week, for example. The idea there and the misconception there is, again, most of the time, that the should helps you to show up to the gym 3 times a week, to take that behavior that you want to take or to get that ultimate outcome that you want. And we saw that most of the time that is a misconception. The should statement doesn't actually help to hold you accountable to or take action on that goal to meet that tangible measure that you want. Now the same thing occurs with the good in the should, the value that the should is trying to represent. So let's just take that same example of I should go to the gym. So we can look at how the should helps or hinders your goal to show up to the gym, say 3 times a week, if that was your goal. But we can also look at why showing up to the gym 3 times a week actually matters. Why is it important to you? Why is it valuable to you to actually achieve that goal or take that action? And this is where we're really looking for the why behind the should, the value in the should. Now, what we might see in this example, for example, is that the value here is that we want to be a consistent person, or we want to be a reliable person. We want to be the kind of person who sets a goal and follows through on it. We want to be the kind of person who keeps promises to themselves. We want to be the kind of person, a step back even further, who is in integrity with what they value. So subsequent to that, after a couple of missteps, this should statement comes out on the end saying I should go to the gym if layers and layers back, I want to be a consistent person. I want to be able to rely on myself. That's your value there. So once you strip back and find the value behind the should statement, there are 2 different places I want you to go here. The first place is appreciation. Recognizing that good motivation or drive that is behind the should statement. The should statement is often a misfiring of what started off as an important value to yourself. But along the way, we've gotten tangled up and confused as to what it means to actually be in that value. So the first important thing to do is to actually appreciate the fact that this is a value of yours, and to have gratitude for that, and to recognize how meaningful that is, that you have these important guiding principles in your life, what kind of person you are, for the fact that you have those things, that you hold yourself to a standard, that you hold yourself to something that is important in the way that you show up in the world. Now, the second part of this exercise is I'd like for you to question whether the should statement is accurately representing what it means to execute on that value. So take consistency, for example. If this should statement, for example, elicits an emotion like guilt, or something heavy that feels really important or hurtful in you, then it's likely that your mind is making it mean that if you don't execute on this should, if you don't follow through with that should, if you don't do what you should do, then you're violating your own value. Now, we don't want to just dismiss this. We don't want to be the kind of people who violate our values and just condone that and let that be okay. That's not what we're trying to do here. But instead, we want to look at whether that should statement and the action it implies is actually truly representing the value. So here, going to the gym 3 times a week, we say I should go to the gym 3 times a week every week, otherwise I'm not a consistent person. Is that true? Now, this gives you an opportunity to really define, possibly for the first time ever consciously, what it means to be consistent. Because the only definition of consistent isn't showing up to the gym 3 times a week. And if we just roll with that example again, I am a person who is consistent at the gym, but to be able to have been consistent at the gym for over a decade now, I've had to give myself flexibility to work around my other priorities in life. Because let's say one of my other values that's a competing value that I want to be integrity with is having a multifaceted life, having not just one thing that I'm laser focused on and have tunnel vision for, but multiple different things I'm trying and exploring in my life. So my definition of being consistent is something more like more often than not, rather than strictly 3 times a week. And you can see here, when I really step back and look at this value that I have of consistency, the reason why I think I should go to the gym, when I look at that, I can see that actually not going to the gym on this particular day or 3 times a week this week doesn't actually violate my value of consistency. So going to the gym is one example, but I'd also like you to think about other more broad examples. So maybe a value is that you're a nice person, you're a kind person. And so what that looks like in your should statement is I should help others. Now, once we identify that should statement as coming back to you wanting to be kind and be integrity as being a kind person, we now get to question what kind actually looks like. And you might find that being a kind person doesn't actually mean or translate to you saying yes to every single request of every other person. Let's just think about the fact that when you say yes to one thing, you have to say no to another thing. That might mean saying yes to one person and no to another person. So just giving yourself the opportunity to dispute these beliefs so that you can release that resistance. Not executing on a should statement mean that you're out of line with your values. Maybe it's the values that actually need a little bit of questioning on what they actually look like in terms of action in your life. So that's all I've got for you guys today. I hope you enjoy this one, and really please dwell on step 1. Really celebrate the fact that you're somebody who cares about how you execute in your life, about how you show up with yourself and other people. It is an amazing trait to care about your characteristics and your values, your integrity, and always be trying to act in your integrity. We don't want to just dismiss that or push that aside. We just want to make sure we're always coming back and truly executing on them in a way that matters to us. And what we find is our should statements often miss the mark, often aren't at least the full story of what it looks like to act in those values. Thank you so much for watching, my beautiful friends. If you already know you want to take this work a bit deeper, I do free, no cost, no obligation consults if you want to come on and just see what coaching is all about. We just jump on the road for an hour, talk about where you are, where you want to be, and I can prescribe a coaching solution that can help you be more of the person that you want to be in this short life without crazy minds. Love you guys so much, and I'll see you in my next one.